This is for my dignity, bro. I was sitting mid lane for too long. Okay, they're both looking at me. They're both looking at me. Yeah, take this damage! Take this fucking damage!
Careful, Calico.
Come on. I'm locked in, chat. I'm locked in. I'm literally locked in. I'm literally locked in. I'm literally so fucking locked right now. Fuck this bullshit, bro.
One big mole.
What the fuck I said, chat? I'm locked in! Fuck. Okay. +1, +2. Take all that. Take all that. Holy fucking shit. No HP?
Little bit of advice.
Meet your end.
I'll fucking win. Who's your late game ADC? Vindicta. But we're gonna win before late game. I'm so locked. Why is he leaving the lane? Is he a chud?
I see silver.
Thanks. Time to move.
I'm coming. Huh?
Pull back.
The dark will close.
I'll go ahead and get you half HP real quick. Lock it.
I see Krill.
Lock me in. We got a kill?
They can't run from me.
I am literally maxing every stat out, dude. Yamato's been about to die every time I've looked at her. -1.
These are your final moments. Time to die.
Krill is Krill.
Thanks for the assist.
Well, going back to the base.
I see grade.
I may want.
He went really aggressive there. It's pretty good. What's up, Unicorn? Your last stream before I'm stuck working forever starting tomorrow. What do you mean by working forever starting tomorrow? I bet. What do you mean by that, Unicorn? 8 hours a week? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing 12-hour, wait, 16-hour shifts every day? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit who called you what, money? But like, what about like being happy with money? Like, right? Like, how are you gonna be happy when you're working 100% of the time? Right? 12/7? Like, why would you do that though? When you could work half of that, have money still.
We live in interesting times, don't we?
Wait. Fuck.
I'll be the last thing you see.
I have no money and I have no degree. Well then, fuck. But like, if you made it this far without any money, like what's like a couple more? Like, what's just making a little bit more money? Like what's so bad about just making some money instead of going from zero money to making too much money because you have no like free time with that money and shit? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? 35 an hour though, bro, Diggy, you're gonna have so much money.
I see Sinclair.
Throwing blue.
You don't want to be happy? You think money's gonna buy all your happiness, bro? Yes, save money. Yeah, if you just save your money, right?
Bird.
Holy shit.
That is one big
Yes. Both have the same amount of money. Sinclair's kind of low. That's not good.
Sorry, I tried. Celeste is still here, by the way.
I go where I wish.
Lol.
Come back if you need
That's a good ultimate you got there. Whoever says it doesn't lied. Are you saying money's gonna buy you all the happiness in the world? You think you'll be extremely happy just because you got some money on you? Okay, it's time for me to go get some kills, bruh.
Like, where are you, bro, during this?
I'm farming, man.
Like,
Great talent's missing. Headed to Broadway. Headed to York. Great talent's missing.
Catch me if you can.
Come into yellow, back up.
Definitely take that mountain.
All right.
I see the enemy.
I will become the whole. Yo, what in the shit are you doing?
You can't stop this.
I'll hit as many as I can.
So my sword
missing.
Thank you.
Gotta reload. Very good. I'm 1-0-3 right now. We got their Guardian, which is good. We lost our yellow one though, which is not good. Bad synergy. I'm getting that. See if this just works better.
You can't stop this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Get Stalker. I don't wanna. Come in yellow. Are you backing off?
Darling, you did. They must be so disappointed.
Let's take yellow, Guardian.
Thank you.
If I'm going out on my own, I need to keep my eyes open.
Back up.
Thank you, bro. Amazing.
That's fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. He got cut. That's hilarious.
These souls won't spend themselves. Maybe you are.
I must win for the boys. For the Akatsuki. This is for the Akatsuki. And Miss Starkleone. Because she gifted fucking 30. Mo and Krill. Might be a reactive barrier game. Walk in.
Our yellow.
It's not only going to be 80 for like 3 months, then it's going to be 60.
Farewell.
I see the enemy.
Man, it's too bad, bro. I don't do enough damage, dude. Wait, how is she 3-1 now? What happened?
They will curse your name and
Be right back.
meet your end.
Money!
I see the enemy.
The urn has been
We have you now. They don't got shit, bro.
Let's see if they're prepared for this.
Nobody's over there. I don't want to rotate to that. I want to rotate to where I can get some more kills, get some more monies. You got the urn? Fuck, you went that way.
I need help on Greenwich.
You wanna chase me?
Death awaits. Surprise. The spirit I am superior.
Fuck with me! And we got a walker!
Headed to yellow.
Come on now. Who said this bit was bad?
Headed to Broadway.
I'm getting even more damage.
Let's push yellow.
Spirit jar is here.
I got Naruto in my fucking ears, bro. I'm not losing.
There's no situation I can't get out of. These are your final moments. Our green guardian has been.
Okay, I should probably get reactive barrier, actually. I think I will get reactive barrier.
You're looking to survive. You came to the right place.
Let's take out Silver.
Headed to green.
Let's push Broadway. Headed to yellow.
Headed to yellow.
Our yellow walker.
Look like he's not pushing with me. What's up, Rush? What's that? What's that clip of?
Oh, thanks for your help, Ava.
It's over.
W assist?
Lash is living up to his reputation.
The fight just now? Oh, okay. I need to look at that back. That felt really good, no cap. I think building like this might be a little bit better.
Need help on
Gonna let it out. Gonna let it out. Gonna let it out.
Get into position.
Thanks.
Headed to blue.
I am moving,
See the
chat.
enemy.
Login!
I see Great Talon.
Thunder.
It's more important to protect green completely.
I see the enemy.
Our green walker is under attack.
Do 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 do. I might get endurance speed now to get across the map a little bit faster.
I see Krill. Need help on blue.
Contact.
Voices in my head.
You're all about to enter Lash's world.
Bang, bang, bang. Pull my double trigger. Me. Come on! Okay, and then I think I'll get crushing fish because this gives me a lot of extra power. And then the first time I die is when I'll get another resistance item because I already got reactive barrier. It's gonna keep me alive for quite a bit. And call with GT, can you say Basin said hi?
Let's go for a little stroll. Our yellow walker is under attack.
Let's see if he says anything. Do you think he'll care? I feel like you don't give a shit.
I see the enemy.
Also, how you doing, the
I see
Roselle?
great talent.
Good, 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 good. Can you tell him his head is round? What the fuck? Got my support. W! W support. F this guy. F this foreskin feller.
Grapple's almost ready.
The dark will claim them.
I see Celeste.
Ava! Enjoy.
You see how I countered literally everything right there, chat? You thought she thought she was gonna get away.
Thank you, Ava.
Krill is over here.
Well, she did get away, but she thought that she was gonna do a lot more to me. But I just have the movement unlocked right now. I really want to win this game, chat. What, yo? What are we doing in the green lane? Why are we over here?
So, how's the murder business treating you?
Let's push York.
There is no mercy. Death is coming. Ready to have fun.
Headed to York.
My next trick. Death is.
I'll hit as many as I can.
Headed to yellow.
Fuck with me!
A new era is coming.
Headed to blue.
Leaping. They could be coming for me any minute. Our blue guardian has been defeated.
How did that happen?
See the enemy.
Crushing fist. I'm telling you, crushing fist is a big move.
Headed to yellow.
Yo, how is blue not pushed at all? I mean, yellow not pushed. They got the urn.
Let's push yellow.
Let's go. Help me.
The urn has been dropped.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
You can't stop this.
I'll hit as many as I can.
You don't got what it takes.
The urn has been dropped. They delivered.
Nice. They got there and we get another walker though. Good shit. I'm about to take your jungle too. I'm coming. I'm gonna tell them. Don't you fucking die! Do 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 do.
See the enemy.
To prowl.
Okay. Nope, you're not coming, huh? You're not coming, huh? This one One Piece, right? Yeah, this is the epic version of the One Piece song.
Our green walker is under attack.
It's brutal out there.
Fuck it, dude. Na 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 na. Bam 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 bam. Not a whole lot going on right now. Should we just force mid boss or like bait them to come for mid boss? Because they're kind of like going on right now. Come on, team. Let's all push out the waves and let's go mid. Force them to come down and we just turn on them. Are you
Oh, Death Slam's almost ready.
You think Luffy can stretch his dick? Yes, Luffy can do that. Forcing. Alright, we go for mid. Dodge. Team. Communication.
They're in mid.
You can't.
They're in mid. They're in mid. Let's go mid.
Let's go mid.
And then we get it to half and he just back up, wait for him to come, we turn on him and fuck him and shit. Right. Good turns. Wait, Celeste isn't even coming. I guess we just finished. They're taking yellow.
The rejuvenator is descending.
Ivy, fly me to yellow.
Let's go for a walk.
Kill this Graves! Onward!
Our yellow walker is under attack.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Our yellow walker has been defeated.
My bag.
Done.
Nah, our bag.
Our bag. I carried your fat ass all the way over here.
Thank you. Okay, right. Yamato 4-9. It's not acceptable. I'm not gonna lie. What are we doing?
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
They could be coming for me any minute now.
Spirit turn is here.
We don't want them having nothing, chat. We gotta take everything from them. What's yours is mine. Give it to me. I like the music. Thank you. This is my try-hard playlist. It's me against the world.
Thank you.
Damn, is it time?
So, how's the murder business treating you?
I'm about to start hurting people, I'm not gonna lie. Your bag is so big. It's okay, I just bought something.
The urn is ours.
I'm ready to have some fun.
And I can buy something else. Like, what defensive item would I even get? Do I even need to get any defensive items? I think I just saved it for Colossus. You should have bought more X? What is that?
Meet your end.
Push this wave out, I dare you, bruh. Do it!
I see the enemy. I see Krill.
Buy more so that my bag goes away. But what if I just kill somebody right now?
Death awaits.
Hold on, there's another person over here.
I
Two
see
people in
Krill.
yellow right now.
My power is absolute.
Not everything needs to be subtle.
Great talent's missing.
Let's see if they're prepared.
I'm
for this.
coming, Tim! Oh my gosh, this dude's 4-10.
They're mine.
The death. Calico.
I see silver.
This is just the beginning.
Enjoy.
And this is what we
Consequences once more.
Headed to green. Death slams on cooldown.
Take that Vendetta. Ivy, your presence is a boon to us all.
Blood money is like normal money with a story.
Come on! Let's go, boys! I'm 9-0 right now. I'm 9-0 right now. I gotta win. I gotta win without dying.
Catch me if you can.
I'm not gonna lie.
You never should have come here.
Bruh. This dude keeps fucking dying. How do you keep dying? Why did I not hurt him?
I see Chris.
I should have hurt the shit out of him. No cap.
Accept your fate.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
Take one shrine. Holy fucking terrible trajectory.
Darling, you don't have a chance. They only have
Wait, did we take both of them?
there is no mercy.
The duration on this is pissing me off. He did another one.
Death to the hidden.
You back out, or what do you think? What are you thinking?
Pull
Drop.
back.
What do you think, Grant?
Let's go
Take a
to
drop.
Broadway.
Headed to blue.
Dear.
Pull back.
Looks like everybody's backing up. Just back off. Mid's up soon. Don't die. Please don't die, please. If you die, you suck, actually.
These are your final moments.
Okay. This is the song for all songs. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the map, but I'm like full build, chat. What do I do? I have so much money. I haven't died.
Enjoy.
I see the enemy.
You good, Vindicta? Cheat death? Ooh, what would I get cheat death for?
Need help on blue.
One stop and punch for free? What'd I switch it out for? Unstoppable? What would I get it for? I gotta think. Reactive barrier? Reactive barrier. Wait, I don't think I have enough money for it yet. How much does reactive barrier sell for? I wish it would say right here. He backed up.
The spirit urn is waiting
Yo,
to be claimed.
blue, Vindicta, blue!
They won't evade me.
I said we just fight for this urn. We're ahead. Like, we have 30,000 more dollars now. Come on. And they're kind of spread out in yellow too, right now. Unstoppable, you guys think? Oh, I don't have enough money.
I'll get into position. Colossus.
I should have unstoppable first.
They can't stop me. I go where I wish.
I see great talent.
Wait. But I don't like unstoppable. How did Celeste not die? How'd Celeste not die? It's my first death, no! I should get cheat death, bro. Cheat death would have been better. Non-reactive has value. Fuck. If I would have had reactive, I don't die there, actually. I trolled. In the game, boys! Well, actually, go mid-boss after this, maybe? What do you think? Yeah, mid-boss, mid-boss.
Let's go me.
You should have used it with Colossus. Yeah, if I used it with Colossus, then I would have been able to punch again right afterwards. Oh well. If I had reactive Barret, you know, I should have got rid of heal bane. Maybe. Wait, do I have anything else that does healing reduction? I don't think I do, actually. I'm like basically full build. The Yanto's pissed to be off, dude. Like the Winions are taking it down, I think. They have no ways. I'm coming back, boys! I think we get another urn, it's gonna make them rotate over and we can kill them, maybe. If they're gullible and shit. Oh my god!
I'll do my best to make it quick.
Right. Nah, because you definitely needed that one. Let's go. Looks like they're trying to... Yeah, let's go. We can go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Mind to prowl.
Headed to green.
Yes! We got one dead.
I see the enemy.
The urn is ours.
What do you have to...
Headed to Greenwich.
Death is coming.
Good parry? And you know, I could have ended this game without dying one time, bro. Dang it!